there, and thank you so much for tuning into Kindset, where we have a safe space to explore all the amazing ways that kindness plays a pivotal role in a winning mindset. So, I want to talk about raising empowered kids. I know that a lot of us, we're all born knowing how special we are and knowing our value and worth. And then we're kind of taught out of that through interactions with people, through hurts, through some habits that we've developed and coping mechanisms. So I think it's really important to create a safe space for your kids to grow into who they are meant to be and who God made them, instead of kind of shaping them to our desires. And the first way to do that is through identity, helping them to find their identity, letting them explore different facets of who they are without too much guidance. Of course, you want them to be safe, but allowing them to figure out their own solutions and figure out creative ways to play, or kind of seeing things from their perspective and allowing them and giving them the tools to see things from different perspectives. So I think it's really about giving them tools to be more of who they are, instead of putting up walls and boxing them in. And no parent does that on purpose. It's just how we were raised plays in a really important role in it. And it's also how culture is, how the media is. So I also want to go into the second point, which is developing a media critic. So looking at media a little bit more, not taking it for face value, and knowing that somebody is behind these messages. Somebody has written this, somebody has put it together, and somebody has packaged it from their own perspective. So yeah, there's a lot of images out there of how women should be and how men should be, but is that really in alignment with what they believe? And is that fair? And is that helpful? Is that having them judge the media and not just absorb it, because children are sponges, so they will absorb everything. But having a little bit of a filter, I think, is really important, because then we're not placing all the value on appearance and how a certain show says you have to be, or a certain show is showing how men and women are, or relationship dynamics, or even just for the drama, you want to get really explosive interactions. And is that normal? Is that healthy? Help them to question that. And another thing is also, just in another example, is birth. Birth is very natural. There's women that do it naturally at home. But in the media, they have to exaggerate it for ratings, and just so that it's not super, super long to watch, because I didn't even know that birth took so long until I actually gave birth. There's the early labor and active labor transition, and then you go into then you give birth. But this is a long process. Sometimes it takes days, sometimes many, 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 many hours, but they have to show the most dramatic parts, and that doesn't really serve women. It creates a lot of fear. And so just using that as a simple example of how, okay, well, is this actually real? Let me do my research. and let me develop my own opinion on things, because I'm going to be constantly bombarded with messages, and I don't have to take in the messages that I don't want to take in. And the third thing is to allow them to say no. So those are developing healthy boundaries. Sometimes I'm triggered when I feel like some adults are triggered when kids say no to them, and it seems disrespectful. And there's a difference between disrespect and having choices. So I think it's really important to encourage having choices, and then make that distinction between those two. So it's important to honor the no, because if somebody is doing something that they don't like, or an adult is coming at them that prevents abuse, also sexual abuse, and if they learn they're not allowed to say no, or saying no is a bad thing, then they might not use their voice in that situation. And it's really, really important to help them to develop their own boundaries of what is okay with them and what is not. And that just goes with not correcting them all the time when they say no. If it's something like a safety thing, of course, you know best. But if it's something like, I don't want to dance right now, I don't want to kiss this person right now, or I don't want to give so-and-so a hug, then honor that and just explain to the person that, however you want to explain it. We want to raise her to be, to have her voice and be able to set boundaries and say no. And not today, but, she's not feeling it today. But, you can be very polite to that person. Or if, forcing thank yous, I think is also another one, or forcing sorries. I think that if we model that, it's much more effective. And then if we acknowledge the other person, if your kid doesn't want to acknowledge someone, I mean, it sounds horrible, but just like kind of giving them the ability to be themselves, and not have the pressure of societal norms, but also a healthy amount of that. But it's not like, okay, now I have to do this so that I'm loved, because that also goes into people pleasing, where then they think, okay, well, I have to behave this certain way. I'm not allowed to say no. I have to say yes to everything. And then they're spread really thin when they're adults. And then they're saying yes to everything, trying to please people around them, dropping what's important to them to please other people. So I notice that for myself when I'm trying to get my child to perform or dance and like show a new thing that she's learning, that I also have to be mindful about that. And it's not that it's a bad thing, or if I did it in the past, I just realize it's a thing that I do, and not to judge myself harshly, but just to say, okay, well, do I really want her to stop what she's doing right now and she's focused on her activity and then perform for someone else's entertainment, or just so that I can get a kick out of it? Is that really going to help her focus? Is that really going to, do anything in the moment? If she's already dancing, that's totally a different thing if she feels like dancing. But it's like somebody asking me to, like, I'm in the middle of making a sandwich, and then someone's like, do the dance you just learned the other day. And I'm like, okay, I mean, if I'm in the mood for it, maybe, but it's like, well, I'm in the middle of something right now, so it's kind of like treating kids the way that you want to be respected, even though you know better. In a lot of ways, they know better because they have less conditioning, and less of the different voices that media has instilled in them. And so the different voices and criticisms that the world kind of cultivates, this petri dish of like stuff in my mind. But yeah, I just wanted to encourage you in that. And yeah, and also another thing is just to have them, encourage them to be kind to themselves, because there will be times that they won't feel good about themselves. There will be times that other people will say mean things to them. There will be times that they fail. And I think looking at failure from a more healthy perspective and cultivating the ability to look at things from different perspectives and pick the ones that they want. So it's not like I'm forcing my perspective on my kids. It's really about giving them, again, back to the tools, giving them the skills and the tools to look at things differently so that they can make their own decisions. And that's so empowering, because for the longest time, and I'm just learning this recently, is that I don't have to be mean to myself. I don't have to think repeating thoughts that don't serve me or send me down a negative spiral. Like, I can sort out my thoughts, reframe things so that I have like a smorgasbord of thoughts to choose from. And then I look at it and I say, okay, which thought is the healthiest for me? Which one suits who I am and is in alignment with who I am? And that's what I really hope to develop and to help develop in my children. And I hope that this has been also helpful to you in some way, and not to beat ourselves up over things that we've done in the past, or now that we have these realizations and different realizations as we're growing, we're in a different place now. We don't have to go back and say, oh, I did this so bad. And even removing that judgment, it's like modeling kindness and what it looks like to be kind to yourself. I think that that's just a skill that all kids will benefit from, and not making your inner critic become their inner critic, or your voice become their inner critic. I think that's really, really important. I don't want my limiting beliefs to become her limiting beliefs, so it's also important to work through those and gain more awareness. And the more awareness we have, the more beautiful it is inside. And I think the more joyful and peaceful we can be. And it's not like sometimes it is jumping for joy, but sometimes it's just that I'm good being me right now. I'm okay right now. I'm safe. And I feel good about myself and where I'm going. And I trust myself. I trust my heart. Trusting yourself is so important. Oh my God, I will talk forever about this, but yeah, help your kids trust themselves, because their intuition is so valuable and so amazing. And so is yours, and so is mine, because only we know what's best for us. And it takes tuning into ourselves to get there, because we have to unlayer and unmask all these layers of other people's thoughts and what other people think is best for us, and what our culture or the media wants for us. There's other people's agendas in there. So getting in tune with your own heart and your own wants and desires and going after that is just an amazingly powerful way to help your kids. It's really like helping your inner child. And then through that, it's like your inner child and your inner wisdom will tell you what your kid needs to, because you're a kid too. You deserve to play and have fun and be yourself. And so I'm going to end it here. And thank you so much for watching. I just want to encourage you to be kind to yourself, because when you be kind to yourself, when you are kind to yourself, you are making the world a kinder and more beautiful place for you and everyone else. God bless.